Have you ever been in pain, and looked around, hoping someone would notice? Hoping someone would ask, "Are you okay?" Hoping someone would understand the battle happening inside you without you saying a word. But nobody did. The world kept moving. People kept laughing. The sun still rose. Cars still moved. Notifications still came in. And in that moment, something inside you broke. Not because life hurt, but because you realized something deeper. Nobody cares. And that truth, it hurts. It hurts because from childhood, many of us were taught to believe that the world would stop for our suffering. That people would understand our silence. That someone would rescue us. But life has a brutal way of teaching reality. Nobody is coming. Nobody is carrying your pain for you. Nobody is fighting your internal battles for you. And strangely, that is the most liberating truth you will ever accept. Because when you accept nobody cares, you stop performing. You stop begging for validation. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. And you begin the most important journey of your life. The journey back to yourself. Welcome to the Stoic path. If you're here to become stronger, calmer, and impossible to break, subscribe now, because this path is not for everyone. It is for those ready to master themselves. And today, we talk about one truth that changes everything. Nobody cares. Focus on yourself. Not because the world is cruel, but because everyone is carrying their own storms. And the moment you understand this, you become free. Let me tell you a short story. A young man lost everything. His relationship collapsed. His business failed. His friends disappeared. He thought people would gather around him. He thought people would ask how he was surviving. But days passed. Weeks passed. Silence. At first, he felt abandoned. He felt betrayed. But one morning, sitting alone in his room, he understood something. The world was not against him. The world was simply busy. Busy surviving. Busy struggling. Busy carrying invisible burdens. And in that realization, he stopped waiting. Stopped complaining. Stopped expecting. He got up. Went to work. Built himself. Built discipline. Built peace. Years later, people called him lucky. But they never saw the lonely nights that built him. This is how life works. People celebrate your results. Few care about your struggle. And once you understand this, your energy changes. Because the truth is, people care about what affects them, not what affects you. That is human nature. Even the people who love you deeply cannot fully carry your pain. Marcus Aurelius once understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote about focusing on what is within your control. Your mind. Your actions. Your response. Not opinions. Not sympathy. Not applause. Control yourself. Because that is where power lives. Look at your life honestly. How much of your pain comes from expectations? Expectation that people should understand you. Expectation that they should appreciate you. Expectation that they should support you. Expectation that they should care. Expectation is the silent architect of disappointment. The less you expect, the less you suffer. This does not mean becoming cold. It means becoming wise. A tree does not beg the wind for permission to grow. It grows anyway. That is how your life must become. Independent. Rooted. Strong. Imagine carrying a heavy bag for miles. And the whole time, you keep asking strangers to help. Some ignore you. Some pretend not to hear. Some help for a minute, then leave. Eventually you realize. This bag is yours. And if you're going to reach your destination, you must become strong enough to carry it. Life is that bag. Your pain is that bag. Your dreams are that bag. Carry it. Because no one can carry your destiny for you. And that is not sad. That is power. The moment you stop seeking external rescue, you discover internal strength. Think about it. How many times did you delay your growth because you were waiting for support? Waiting for motivation. Waiting for understanding. Waiting for someone to believe in you. But the truth? Belief from others is unstable. Some days they believe. Some days they doubt. Some days they leave. Build self-belief. That stays. There is a painful reality most people avoid. People remember what you gave them. Not what you suffered. You could spend years sacrificing for others. And one mistake can erase it all. That's life. And once you accept that, you stop living for applause. A Stoic understands this. Your worth is not in how loudly people clap for you. Your worth is in your character. In your discipline. In your resilience. There's a story of a sculptor. Every day he worked on a statue. Day after day. Month after month. Nobody noticed. People walked past him. Ignored him. Laughed at him. But he kept sculpting. One day, the statue was finished. Suddenly people admired it. Praised him. Celebrated him. But what changed? Not the people. The result. People often ignore the process and worship the outcome. Remember that. When nobody notices your struggle, keep building. When nobody applauds your discipline, keep building. When nobody sees your sacrifice, keep building. Because one day the result will speak. But even if it never does, you will know who you became. And that matters more. Many people waste years trying to be understood. Explaining. Defending. Proving. But peace begins when proving ends. Not everyone will understand your path. Not everyone is supposed to. A lion does not explain itself to sheep. It moves with certainty. You must become like that. Quiet confidence. Strong presence. No unnecessary explanation. There's something dangerous about constantly seeking attention. It makes you dependent. And dependence makes you weak. If your happiness depends on people caring, your peace is fragile. Because people are inconsistent. Today they praise you. Tomorrow they forget you. Today they support you. Tomorrow they criticize you. Do not build your emotional home in unstable places. Build it within yourself. That is Stoicism. Inner stability. Outer chaos. Stillness inside. Storm outside. Most people fear loneliness. But loneliness is where transformation happens. The gym of the soul is solitude. That's where you hear yourself. That's where truth speaks. That's where discipline grows. A man alone in a room, facing himself honestly, can change his entire life. But most people avoid it. They distract themselves. Noise. Parties. Social media. Validation. Anything to avoid sitting with themselves. But growth demands confrontation. Confront your weakness. Confront your laziness. Confront your excuses. Because nobody cares about your excuses. Results speak. Excuses don't. That sounds harsh. But harsh truth builds stronger people than soft lies. Imagine two men. Both want success. One spends years complaining. Talking. Blaming. The other spends years working quietly. Learning. Failing. Adjusting. Who wins? The worker. Always. The world rewards action. Not intention. Not emotion. Action. That's why your focus must return to yourself. Not revenge. Not proving them wrong. Not seeking validation. Self-mastery. That is the mission. And here's the irony. When you stop caring, who cares? People start noticing. Why? Because energy changes. Desperation disappears. Confidence rises. Presence deepens. People respect self-contained strength. Not emotional dependence. This is why some people become magnetic. Not because they seek attention, but because they no longer need it. Neediness repels. Wholeness attracts. Remember this. The strongest person in the room is often the one least concerned with being seen. If this message speaks to you, subscribe to the Stoic Path. Because here, we build inner strength, not outer noise. And this is only the beginning. There's another truth you must accept. Your pain is your responsibility. Yes, others may have caused it. But healing it? That belongs to you. This is where many people stay trapped. They hold on to wounds waiting for apologies. Waiting for justice. Waiting for closure. But closure is often self-created. Not given. Waiting keeps you chained. Healing sets you free. A man bitten by a snake has two choices. Chase the snake for answers. Or heal the wound. Many chase snakes. Few heal. Choose healing. Choose growth. Choose yourself. Because at the end of the day, your life is your responsibility. Not your parents'. Not your ex. Not your friends'. Not society. Yours. And responsibility is power. Because if it's yours, you can change it. You can rebuild. You can start again. You can rise. And that is where transformation begins. Not when people care. But when you stop needing them to. Because once you understand nobody is coming, you start becoming the person you needed. And that changes everything. There comes a moment in life when reality stops whispering. And starts shouting. Usually, it happens in silence. Not in the middle of a crowd. Not during celebration. But in the quiet moments. At night. When the room is dark. When the phone is silent. When the mind is loud. That's where truth meets you. And one of the hardest truths you will ever face is this. People move on faster than you think. The breakup that shattered you. The world moved. The betrayal that broke your trust. The world moved. The failure that made you question yourself. The world moved. And at first, that feels cruel. But it's not cruelty. It's reality. Everyone is carrying something. Everyone is fighting invisible battles. And because of that, your pain cannot become the center of everyone's world. That realization changes a person. Because it forces maturity. It forces you to ask. If nobody is coming to save me, then what do I do now? You rise. That's what you do. Not dramatically. Not loudly. Quietly. One decision at a time. Wake up. Do the work. Train the mind. Train the body. Fix your habits. Protect your peace. Repeat. That's how transformation happens. Not in one big moment. But in small daily choices. There's a story of a farmer. Every morning, before sunrise, he walked into his field. Rain or shine. Some days people mocked him. Why work so hard? Some days they laughed because there were no visible results. But the farmer understood something they didn't. Growth happens underground first. The seed does not break the earth on day one. It grows in darkness. Unseen. Uncelebrated. Unnoticed. And so will you. The strongest parts of your growth will happen where nobody claps. That discipline you're building. Nobody sees it. That pain you're overcoming. Nobody sees it. That emotional battle you're winning. Nobody sees it. But it matters. It matters because unseen growth is still growth. And often, it is the most important kind. Epictetus taught that circumstances do not make the man, they reveal him. Read that again. Hardship reveals. Pain reveals. Loss reveals. It shows you who you are. But more importantly, it shows you who you can become. A weak mind says, "Why is this happening to me?" A strong mind asks, "What is this teaching me?" That one shift changes everything. Pain becomes a teacher. Failure becomes a lesson. Rejection becomes redirection. And suddenly, what broke you starts building you. Think about fire. Fire destroys. But fire also purifies. Gold becomes stronger in fire. Steel becomes stronger in fire. And so do you. Your hard season is not proof life hates you. It may be proof life is shaping you. But shaping is painful. Growth is painful. Letting go is painful. Outgrowing people is painful. But staying the same, that's painful too. Choose your pain wisely. There's a short story about a man carrying bricks. Every day he carried bricks on his back. Heavy. Painful. Someone asked him, "Why carry all that weight?" He said, "These are my regrets." Another asked, "Why not drop them?" He answered, "Because they remind me." But here's the truth. Regret is useful only as a lesson. Not as luggage. Too many people carry yesterday into tomorrow. Carrying mistakes. Carrying shame. Carrying guilt. But growth requires release. Drop the bricks. Learn. Move. Become. Because nobody cares how many times you failed. But life will respond to how many times you rise. That's what matters. Not the fall. The rise. You know what weakens people? Comparison. Looking at someone else's chapter 10 while you're on chapter 2. Looking at someone else's success and questioning your own pace. But comparison is blindness. Because you don't see their pain. Their sacrifices. Their sleepless nights. Their losses. You only see the highlight. Never compare your behind the scenes to someone else's finished story. Focus on your road. Your timing. Your process. Your becoming. There's a saying. The flower does not compete with the flower beside it. It blooms. That's all. Bloom. In your own time. At your own pace. Without permission. Without comparison. Without approval. Because approval is addictive. And addiction makes slaves. Many people never become themselves because they are too busy becoming acceptable. Acceptable to family. Acceptable to society. Acceptable to friends. Acceptable to strangers online. But acceptance from the world often costs authenticity. And that price is too high. Stop editing yourself for people who wouldn't carry your pain. Be real. Be disciplined. Be grounded. Be true. Not liked. Truth over popularity. Always. Seneca spoke often about the shortness of life. Not because life is brief. But because people waste it. Waiting. Worrying. Seeking approval. Living in fear. Imagine reaching old age and realizing, I spent my whole life trying to be accepted. What a tragedy. A life unlived. A self undiscovered. A potential untouched. Do not let that be your story. Use your time. Protect your energy. Guard your focus. Because attention is currency. And where your attention goes, your life follows. If you keep focusing on who left, you stay stuck. If you keep focusing on betrayal, you stay bitter. If you keep focusing on revenge, you stay chained. Shift focus. From them to you. What can you build? What can you learn? What can you heal? What can you strengthen? That is power. A young woman once spent years trying to fix everyone around her. Fix her relationship. Fix her family. Fix her friends. And in doing so, she neglected herself. One day she looked in the mirror and realized, I saved everyone but myself. That hit hard. Because many people live that way. Pouring from an empty cup. Saving others while drowning inside. But you cannot save from emptiness. You must fill yourself first. Mentally. Emotionally. Spiritually. Physically. That is not selfish. That is wisdom. A lamp cannot light others if it has no oil. Fill your lamp. Focus on your oil. Focus on your fire. There's another painful truth. Some people only love the version of you they can control. The moment you grow, they resist. The moment you set boundaries, they get uncomfortable. The moment you choose yourself, they call you selfish. Why? Because your growth exposes their comfort. Not everyone benefits from your evolution. And that's okay. Growth will cost relationships. Growth will cost comfort. Growth will cost familiarity. Pay it. Because staying small costs more. The eagle pays for altitude with loneliness. But from that height, it sees clearly. Sometimes distance creates clarity. Distance from noise. Distance from drama. Distance from emotional chaos. Silence is powerful. In silence, you hear what matters. In silence, you see patterns. In silence, healing begins. Most people fear silence because silence introduces them to themselves. But self-confrontation is necessary. Ask yourself. What habits are ruining my life? What thoughts are weakening me? What patterns keep repeating? What am I avoiding? Honest questions create powerful change. Lying to yourself is easy. Transformation starts with truth. Not comfortable truth. Real truth. Maybe you're undisciplined. Maybe you procrastinate. Maybe you seek validation too much. Maybe you keep choosing wrong people. Maybe you abandon yourself. Face it. Without shame. Without excuses. Just truth. Because truth is medicine. Bitter at first. Healing after. There's a reason warriors train. Not because battle is certain. But because battle is possible. Life is battle. Not always with people. Sometimes with your mind. Sometimes with temptation. Sometimes with fear. Sometimes with doubt. Train anyway. Train discipline. Train patience. Train emotional control. Train focus. Because when life tests you, you fall to your level of preparation. Not your intention. Preparation. That's why the Stoics trained the mind daily. Not for comfort. For challenge. For uncertainty. For loss. For hardship. Because life guarantees one thing. Change. People change. Situations change. Plans change. Bodies change. Money changes. But character? That can remain. Build character. That's the only thing life cannot easily take. If your money disappears, character remains. If your relationship ends, character remains. If your plans collapse, character remains. And character rebuilds. That's why your focus must be internal. External things are unstable. Internal strength lasts. A tree with weak roots falls in strong wind. Strengthen your roots. Not your image. Your roots. Character. Discipline. Self-respect. Wisdom. Calmness. That's real power. Not popularity. Not status. Not attention. Inner strength. And here's something important. Stop announcing your moves. Move in silence. Build in silence. Heal in silence. Win in silence. Not everyone needs access to your process. Protect your becoming. Seeds grow underground for a reason. Privacy protects growth. There's power in quiet progress. And when results come, let them speak. Not your mouth. Results. Always. If this is speaking to where you are right now, subscribe to the Stoic Path. Because strength is built here. Not the loud kind. The deep kind. The kind that survives storms. And storms will come. But when they do, you will be ready. Because you no longer expect the world to carry you. You carry yourself. That is freedom. That is maturity. That is power. And once you reach that point, life changes. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. There is a dangerous illusion many people live under. The illusion that one day, someone will arrive and fix everything. Someone will love away your pain. Support away your fear. Heal away your wounds. Carry away your burden. But life rarely works that way. And the longer you believe that, the longer you stay powerless. Because power begins the moment dependency ends. The moment you stop saying, I need someone to complete me. And start saying, I need to complete myself. That is where real strength begins. Not in being saved, but in becoming. There's a story about a boy who watched butterflies every morning. One day he saw one struggling to come out of its cocoon. It looked painful. It looked exhausting. Wanting to help, he gently cut the cocoon open. The butterfly came out easily. But something was wrong. Its wings were weak. It could not fly. What the boy did not understand was this. The struggle was necessary. The pressure of breaking free was what pushed strength into the wings. Without struggle, there was no strength. And many times in life, your struggle is building your wings. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that loneliness, that failure. It's painful. But it is preparing you. Preparing your mind. Preparing your endurance. Preparing your soul. The problem is, most people quit in the cocoon. They run back to comfort. Back to distractions. Back to old habits. Back to people who weaken them. Because growth feels uncomfortable. But comfort is expensive. Comfort steals ambition. Comfort weakens discipline. Comfort makes dreams die quietly. Look around. How many people do you know who settled? Settled for less. Settled for average. Settled for toxic. Settled for survival. Not because they lacked potential, but because comfort felt safer than change. Don't settle. Not for less than your potential. Not for less than your peace. Not for less than your purpose. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that life is temporary. Not to become afraid, but to become intentional. Because when you understand time is limited, you stop wasting it. You stop wasting years on people who drain you. You stop wasting energy on proving yourself. You stop wasting peace on things beyond your control. And you start living with urgency. Not panic. Urgency. Urgency to grow. Urgency to heal. Urgency to become. There was a man who spent 10 years chasing approval from his father. Everything he did, career, choices, sacrifices, was to hear one sentence. "I'm proud of you." But it never came. 10 years. Imagine that. 10 years of becoming someone else. One day he finally understood. The approval he wanted externally had to be created internally. And that day changed his life. Because many people are doing the same thing. Chasing approval. From parents. From partners. From society. From strangers. Protect your focus like your life depends on it. Because it does. Where focus goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, life grows. If your energy keeps going into anger, anger grows. If your energy keeps going into bitterness, bitterness grows. If your energy goes into discipline, discipline grows. Choose carefully. Your life is being shaped by your focus. There's a short story about two wolves. An old man tells a young boy. Inside every person there are two wolves fighting. One wolf is anger, envy, fear, pride, resentment. The other is peace, discipline, courage, patience, wisdom. The boy asks, which wolf wins? The old man says, the one you feed. Simple. Powerful. True. What are you feeding? Your wounds. Or your healing. Your excuses. Or your discipline. Your fear. Or your courage. Feed wisely. Because your habits feed your future. Your future is not built in one day. It is built daily. Every morning you either strengthen yourself or weaken yourself. Every decision matters. Every habit matters. Every hour matters. People often ask, when will my life change? But the better question is, when will your habits change? Because life follows habits. Not wishes. Not motivation. Habits. A man who wakes up every day with discipline will eventually outrun talent. Talent is overrated. Consistency wins. Always. That's why the Stoics valued discipline over emotion. Emotion changes. Discipline remains. Some days you will feel strong. Some days weak. Some days inspired. Some days empty. But discipline carries you beyond feeling. That's power. Waiting to feel ready is a trap. Most powerful things happen before readiness. You start before confidence. You begin before certainty. You move before clarity. Action creates clarity. Not overthinking. There was a writer who wanted to write a book for years. Years. He kept saying, I'm waiting for the perfect time. 10 years passed. Nothing. One day he realized. Perfection was procrastination in disguise. He started messy. And finished. That's how growth works. Messy. Imperfect. Real. Start now. Not when it's easy. Not when it's perfect. Now. Because time moves whether you do or not. And regret is heavier than discipline. Seneca warned against being owned by time. Most people think they have time. That's the illusion. Time is not promised. That dream. Start. That healing. Start. That discipline. Start. That change. Start. Now. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is the favorite word of procrastination. And procrastination steals destinies. There's something else you must understand. Not everyone deserves access to you. Read that carefully. Access is earned. Your energy is valuable. Your peace is valuable. Your mind is valuable. Stop giving everyone access. Not everyone comes with good intentions. Some come to drain. Some come to distract. Some come to delay. Protect yourself. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are self-respect. A city without walls is vulnerable. A life without boundaries is vulnerable. Build walls. Healthy walls. Walls that protect peace. Walls that protect focus. Walls that protect healing. People may not like your boundaries. That's okay. Boundaries are not for their comfort. They are for your protection. And protection matters. Because healing is fragile in the beginning. Like a broken bone. It needs stillness. Care. Distance from pressure. Give yourself that. Heal properly. Don't rush healing to make others comfortable. Your pace is yours. Honor it. Respect it. But while healing, keep moving. Pain should not stop your life. Pain should shape your wisdom. Use pain. Use rejection. Use loneliness. Use failure. Use it all. Turn it into fuel. Fuel for discipline. Fuel for growth. Fuel for purpose. The same fire that burns can also forge. It depends on how you use it. Your pain can destroy you. Or develop you. Choice matters. Perspective matters. Response matters. That is the Stoic way. Not controlling life. Controlling yourself. And that changes everything. Because life becomes lighter when you stop resisting reality. People leave. Accept it. Plans fail. Accept it. Pain comes. Accept it. Time moves. Accept it. Acceptance is not surrender. It is clarity. And clarity gives power. Fight reality. You suffer. Work with reality. You grow. That is wisdom. And wisdom saves years of unnecessary pain. If this message is helping you see your life differently, subscribe to the Stoic Path. Because on this path, we do not run from truth. We build from it. And truth is this. Nobody cares as much as you think. So stop waiting. Stop explaining. Stop begging. Stop shrinking. Focus on yourself. Build yourself. Heal yourself. Discipline yourself. Master yourself. Because in the end, the person who saves your life will most likely be you. At some point in life, you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And you start asking, what can I become because of this? That question changes everything. Because pain has two paths. One path makes you bitter. The other makes you better. And the difference between those two paths is not luck. It is choice. A conscious choice. To rise. To learn. To transform. Most people never understand this. They spend years replaying the pain. Replaying the betrayal. Replaying the rejection. Replaying the failure. As if replaying it will change it. But the past does not change. Only you can. And that is where your power lives. Not in changing what happened. But in changing what it makes of you. There's a story about a man who lost his business. Everything gone. Years of effort. Destroyed. People he trusted disappeared. Friends became silent. Family had opinions but no solutions. He sat in his empty house one night and realized something. When he had money, people were around. When he had status, people respected him. But when life stripped him, he saw clearly. And clarity is expensive. Sometimes loss reveals what success hides. Real loyalty. Real character. Real truth. That man rebuilt his life. Not because people helped him, but because pain forced him to meet himself. And the person he met was stronger than he thought. That's what pain does. It introduces you to yourself. To your limits. To your fears. To your strength. And if you stay with it long enough, it changes you. Not all pain is punishment. Sometimes pain is preparation. Preparation for wisdom. Preparation for strength. Preparation for purpose. Epictetus taught that freedom begins when you stop trying to control what is outside you. Think about how much suffering comes from trying to control people. Trying to control who stays. Trying to control how they see you. Trying to control outcomes. Trying to control life itself. Exhausting. And impossible. People will choose. Life will move. Situations will change. And your peace cannot depend on controlling any of it. Peace comes from this. I will handle whatever comes. That mindset is powerful. Not because it prevents pain, but because it removes fear. A person who trusts themselves fears less. Because they know. Whatever happens, they will respond. That is emotional strength. Not avoiding pain. Carrying it well. A tree in a storm bends. Not because it is weak, but because resistance would break it. Learn to bend. Not your values. Your expectations. Your attachment. Your need for control. Flexibility is strength. Rigidity breaks. Adapt. Life rewards adaptation. There's another hard truth. Some chapters must end. Not because they failed, but because they fulfilled their purpose. Some friendships. Some relationships. Some seasons. Some versions of you. Let them end. Stop forcing what life is removing. A closed door is often protection. Not punishment. But people fear endings. Because endings feel like loss. Yet endings create space. Space for new growth. Space for peace. Space for alignment. Imagine holding sand in your hand. Grip too tightly. It escapes. Hold lightly. It stays. That is life. That is love. That is everything. Attachment creates suffering. Presence creates peace. Be present. Not desperate. Not attached. Present. The Stoics understood impermanence. Everything changes. Everything. Youth changes. Health changes. Love changes. Circumstances change. And because everything changes, your peace must come from something deeper. Character. Values. Purpose. Purpose is powerful. A person with purpose suffers differently. Not because they avoid pain, but because pain has direction. Without purpose, pain feels meaningless. With purpose, pain becomes part of the journey. Ask yourself, what am I building? Who am I becoming? What kind of person do I want to be? Not what do people want from me. What do I want from myself? That question matters. Because your life belongs to you. Not to expectations. Not to opinions. Not to pressure. To you. There's a story of an old man sitting by a river. A younger man asked him, "What is the secret to peace?" The old man pointed to the water. The river kept moving. Never clinging. Never forcing. Just flowing. The old man said, "Peace comes when you stop fighting the flow of life." Simple. Deep. True. Flow. Not laziness. Acceptance. Movement. Trust. Growth. Keep moving. Even slowly. Especially slowly. Progress is progress. A step is still a step. Don't underestimate small changes. A small discipline repeated daily changes a life. Reading. Training. Reflecting. Praying. Working. Saving. Learning. Healing. Small things. Big results. People often admire transformation without respecting repetition. But repetition is everything. Greatness is repetition. Peace is repetition. Strength is repetition. What you repeat, you become. Repeat discipline. Repeat courage. Repeat honesty. Repeat patience. And over time, you become powerful. Not loud. Powerful. Seneca said that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about that. How much of your pain is happening now? And how much is fear of what might happen? Fear creates prisons. But reality is often smaller than fear. Face what is real. Not what is imagined. Face today. Today's work. Today's healing. Today's growth. That's enough. The future will come. Meet it stronger. And strength is built now. Not later. Now. One workout. One book. One hard conversation. One disciplined morning. One boundary. One brave decision. That's how lives change. Not suddenly. Steadily. Brick by brick. Choice by choice. Day by day. And one day, you look back and barely recognize the person you used to be. The one who begged. The one who chased. The one who broke over everything. The one who depended on people caring. Gone. Now replaced by someone stronger. Calmer. Clearer. Wiser. That is the reward. Not applause. Transformation. That is the victory. Not being noticed. Becoming unshakable. And understand this. The goal is not to become heartless. The goal is to become grounded. To love without losing yourself. To give without emptying yourself. To care without depending. To live without performing. That is balance. That is strength. That is freedom. So the next time life reminds you that nobody cares, do not feel defeated. Feel awakened. Because that truth is not meant to break you. It is meant to free you. Free you from expectation. Free you from dependence. Free you from chasing. Free you from waiting. And once you are free, you become dangerous in the best way. Focused. Disciplined. Peaceful. Powerful. Unstoppable. Because now, your energy belongs to your growth. Your mind belongs to your purpose. Your heart belongs to your peace. And your life belongs to you. So build it. Protect it. Respect it. Master it. Because nobody is coming to save you. And maybe that was the plan all along. Maybe life was waiting for you to realize you were enough to carry yourself. Enough to rebuild. Enough to heal. Enough to rise. Enough to become. And once you accept that, everything changes. Remember. Nobody cares. Focus on yourself. Not because the world is cold, but because your life is your responsibility. And responsibility is where power begins. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to the Stoic Path and join this journey of discipline, wisdom, and inner strength. Because on this path, we don't wait to be saved. We become the strength we need. And until next time, guard your mind. Protect your peace. And walk your path like your life depends on it. Because it does.